Hello, hello again, everybody. Yeah, this is not going to be quite as fun as most of my other videos have been recently, for two reasons. One, I'm going to break the video up into two parts so that the stuff that you guys are interested in, it's going to be one video, but the first half is going to be one subject and the second half is going to be another subject, so that if you are interested in only, you know, part of what I'm talking about, you can kind of skip over the stuff that you don't want to listen to and just listen to or just watch the part of the video that interests you. So the two subjects that I'm going to be talking about today are going to be the analytics of my YouTube channel itself, and how I'm doing as far as reaching my goal of having 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched by February 20th. Those are the new requirements to be in the YouTube Partner Program. I have been a YouTube partner for over 3 years. I've made over 700 videos on here, and losing my partnership status is a lot more, like, a lot of people think that losing the partnership status is just, well, you won't be able to make money off it anymore, and you already weren't making money off of it, so it doesn't actually matter. And that's not 100% true. First of all, YouTube, in its normal way of interacting with its creators, has not actually defined completely what losing the partnership status is going to do. It does mention that features like custom thumbnails, which are actually huge drivers in views and stuff like that. Having custom thumbnails actually helps significantly. If you have the ability to make good-looking thumbnails, more people will click on your videos than what I have been doing recently, which I will explain in the second half of my video. Why I haven't been doing a lot of the best practices that normally would be helping me out in this situation. So a lot of people think that, it's just, people going, well, it's just losing the money, and it's not. The partnership status, the ability to monetize your videos gave YouTube an incentive to promote your videos, to get people to watch your videos, to have them show up in recommended tabs and stuff like that. Without monetization on the videos, there's actually no incentive for YouTube to help my content grow at all. So right now on YouTube, it's hard being a small content creator, because you have to compete. Not only do you have to compete with big content creators that have kind of earned their way on YouTube, they started as small content creators and got big. And they use best practices and things like that, and they're the people that develop the best practices, and they work really hard to get what they are. I'm talking about everyone from like Philip DeFranco and Markiplier and people like that, that really have invested the time and effort into making quality content. Pro Jared, a lot of the people that I follow on YouTube and subscribe to are people that have worked really, really hard to get where they are. They create really high quality content. And competing with people like that for someone like me who has literally zero income, like I live off of student loans right now because I can't hold a job, is remarkably difficult, because the quality of my videos, I'm filming on a 720p webcam that I got 5-6 years ago easily, specifically for making YouTube videos, and it was a cheap webcam then because I didn't have any money. I'm speaking into a Rock Band microphone, which is better than some of the stuff on there. I do have like a pop filter on it, so it gets rid of some of the stuff that will annoy people, and it gives me a fairly decent sound quality. But compared to YouTubers that are using, digital SLRs or really high quality webcams and stuff like that to do their recording, and like Blue Yeti microphones and stuff like that, I look like garbage next to them. And so competing with them for views and stuff like that is remarkably hard. So being a small YouTuber in general is already difficult. Losing my partnership status will add an additional barrier that I have to overcome if I want to get this to a point where I can actually reinvest in my channel and things like that. Like, in order for me to upgrade my equipment and stuff like that, I have to make enough money to actually do that. And right now, I lose money on my YouTube channel, just from the fact that like my editing software that I haven't been able to use in forever costs me, I think it's like $23 a month once taxes are involved. So I'm paying $23 a month in order to be able to make videos and stuff like this. And when you also factor in internet connection, the ability to have internet connection and a bunch of other things, it becomes very, very expensive to be a YouTuber. And I'm lucky enough that I don't actually have to pay for those costs because I'm living with my family, and they're able to front those costs. So all I have is the cost of my software and my specific equipment, and even that I have been losing money on YouTube for years. But the intent behind it was always because I wanted to be a content creator. I am a creative person. I need a creative outlet. That's what this is for me. And my intention was to slowly get better, slowly improve myself like a lot of other YouTubers have done and been very successful at, and kind of prove myself with the quality of my content over flashy stuff and clickbaity titles and stuff like that can now be a very quick way to getting a lot of subscribers and a lot of views and things like that. So again, first half of my video is going to be just talking pure numbers and analytics and stuff like that, and what's going to be necessary for me to hit that goal I talked about before. The second half is me going to be talking about my own health, and why that's been affecting what I can and can't do, and has actually been limiting my ability to succeed here, because I'm not able to do a lot of the things that I should be doing if I do want to make it in this field. First, let's talk numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I always have been. I enjoyed math when I was in high school. I was accelerated by two or 3 years in math since I was in like the 5th grade. I took calculus when I was a junior in high school and had one of the highest grades in the class for most of the year. The only reason my grades dropped was the teacher started for the first semester, the teacher didn't actually require us to do homework. His philosophy was, hey, if you want to pass the tests, you'll do the homework. Or you'll do enough homework so that you know what you're doing. Not everybody has to do homework in order to learn the stuff. So whatever it takes for you to be able to pass the test and learn the material, you do that. I'm only going to grade you on whether or not you know the material, which he did through tests. I've never been a good homework student. I don't learn well from doing homework because I learn very quickly, and homework is a lot about repetition. And what would happen is I would learn and I'd master the abilities, and then I would get bored and the repetition would actually hurt my retention because I would just get so bored with it that I would block it out of my mind. So anyway, numbers have always been my thing. My the current degree that I'm getting is in marketing management, which is very numbers focused. Like marketing is a very numbers oriented thing. There's creativity in it, but it's about increasing market share and market penetration and pricing and all this stuff. And then the management aspect, management is so much numbers. And that's what I used to do in retail is, while other managers might be, looking at planograms or, looking at number of customers in the store, I was looking at, sales trends over the last 3 months, over the last 6 months. I was looking at attachment rates and, I was looking at profit margins and private label brand sales versus name brand sales and stuff like that. All this data that I was used to run really, really successful sales programs. It's what I did. So that's what I've done here is I've used the data that YouTube gives me to look at the health of the channel, to look at the things that I'm doing that are giving me the results I want. And a lot of people, I think, kind of misunderstand what the purpose of a lot of these videos is. For the most part, I want to be making content because, again, I'm a creative person. I need a creative outlet. It is actually... it's a way that I help control my anxiety and stuff like that. But the last month has not so much been about an outlet for creativity as it has been meeting the demands that have been levied against me in order for me to keep my partnership status. So I've been making different videos than I normally make. And I've been modifying my content. I've been modifying my speech patterns even in the videos to better reflect what is working and what is getting me the results that I'm looking for, which the results that I'm looking for right now, unlike most of my career, are subscribers and view time. That's all I'm focusing on right now because that's all Google cares about. That's all YouTube cares about right now. Is subscribers and view time for this particular milestone. If I hit that milestone, you guys will probably see another kind of alteration to the channel as I transition less from let me hit this goal to more of let me kind of define my channel, let me kind of define what it is that I want to do with this, let me figure out what my audience really wants from me. And you will probably see a shift from the quantity style content that I have been making for the past couple of weeks to a more quality focused style, probably more scripted content, hopefully getting back into edited content and more stuff that looks nicer. Not any equipment upgrades, obviously, until I can get an influx of decent money that I can afford to buy something nice. Yeah, so that's why I've been making the videos I want. How effective have they been? So January 16th was when I got my notice. January 16th was also the day I was sent to the emergency room, which I will talk about in the second half of my video. I just refer to it, and my doctor and I just refer to it as the incident, because we actually don't know what happened. As of right now, it doesn't make sense. Medically, there is no explanation we've been able to find, and there's very, very little chance of me getting a medical explanation as to what in the world happened, other than something very, very big, very, very traumatic, and very, very damaging to me. So the announcement that I'd be losing my partnership status in 30 days could not have come at a worse time. So from the 16th to now, to show you guys what you have done, which is incredible. At that point, I had about 1,100 or 11, I think it was 11,000 minutes, a little over 11,000 minutes. It might have been 11,200, somewhere around there, but around 11,000. And I think I factored it out, turned into about 340 hours of content watched in the past year, which that's what that 4,000 hours is. It's 4,000 hours over the past 12 months. So it's not like I have to get 4,000 hours a month. I have to get 4,000 hours basically a year in order to qualify for the new partner program. So that's what I had then. Since the announcement, just since the announcement, you guys have watched 15,197 minutes. Roughly, the way analytics work on YouTube is it takes a couple of days for them to process. So I am missing data for the past like 2 or 3 days. So take that into consideration when you're doing this. And my calculations are technically based on 16 days, despite the fact that I'm missing numbers for that. So these numbers are going to be slightly flawed. But you know, it was easy math. So understand that these numbers are technically a little bit lower than the actual numbers right now, but it takes time for analytics to go through. So since the announcement, you guys have watched 15,197 minutes, or roughly around 253 hours of my content. That averages out to around 15, just under 16 hours a day. It's 15.83 to use exact. And again, that's technically using a little bit of bad math. So we can probably round that up to about 16, maybe 16 and a half hours a day of content that you guys are watching. That's incredible. Again, for the year before this, I had 11,000 hours. Now I have 15,000 hours. That's a massive, massive change. I have over doubled my yearly view times in 16 days. In basically 2 weeks, you guys have watched more content that I've created than the people that are watching me have in a year. So that is amazing and wonderful and phenomenal. And I thank everyone who's been sharing my videos and watching my videos and commenting. All of those things help. They really, really do. And they've given me some hope. To compare it to what I need, my grand total as of this morning, for the past 12 months, which is, again, what they're measuring it on, is 34,476 minutes, which is roughly about 574.6 hours of content viewed in the past 12 months. Again, almost half of that has been in 2 weeks. So it's major, major growth. Really, really impressive for what it is. However, in order for me to hit the 4,000 hour mark before February the 20th, which is 20 days away, it's February 1st today, I still need 3,425 roughly hours, which I'm not going to translate into minutes because that's a very big number. In order to do that in 20 days, that basically means I need to be averaging about 171 hours of content viewed per day. So when we look at what has been happening, which is a huge growth, and I'm not saying this isn't amazing and you guys aren't wonderful or anything like that, but we're looking at, the roughly like 16-ish hours a day I'm currently getting, I need to increase that by a factor of 10. In order to meet the goal before the deadline. Which again is theoretically possible, but it requires the next number I'm going to talk about, which is subscribers. The reason YouTube views subscribers in such a high value is because subscribers are the ones that are actively basically getting your videos put in front of them. They go to their subscription box, and when it works the way it's supposed to, they see your video there. They're the ones that are most likely going to watch your videos first. They're the ones that are going to engage the most. Subscribers are the ones that drive your channel growth. So it is an important number. Since January the 16th, I have gained 67 subscribers, which is the largest sustained growth that the channel has ever had. I had one period of time where I think I got like 50 or 60 subscribers in a day because I had a video go kind of viral. It got a few thousand views, or it got over 1,000 views. I don't think it ever made it to 2,000. And that was a one-time thing, and it trickled off really, really quickly. This has been the longest sustained growth of subscribers I've ever had on this channel. And again, that is all thanks to the amazing, wonderful, phenomenal fans that you guys are, that are, you know, sharing my videos and asking people to subscribe and subscribing yourselves. And, you know, that has been amazing. What that averages out to is roughly around 4 subs a day. Now, again, this number is misleading as well because I had a huge increase in subs in the beginning, right around when I released my first kind of state of the channel video on January 17th, because the 16th, again, I was recovering from an ER visit, so I didn't post anything then. Late the 9th of late the night of the 17th, I released my channel update. It's the most viewed video I have in the past like couple months here. It's got almost 100 views. It's got really good watch time and stuff like that. From that video alone, I saw a huge jump of almost 30 subscribers in a day, and then it slowly has trickled off. So the 4 subs a day is a little bit of a misleading number because it's factoring in this huge number now, and that number has been trickling down. For me to hit the 1,000 subscriber goal that the YouTube Partner Program requires, I still need 740 subscribers, which averages in 20 days, averages to about 37 subscribers a day. Which again is not an impossibility. When you look at even medium-sized channels, getting, you know, 5 to 10 subscribers a day is not an unheard of thing. When you look at large channels, they are getting hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands subscribers a day. So there are people out there that can do it. It is theoretically possible, but I am not where I need to be right now for me to realistically be hitting the goals by February the 20th. Like I said, both things I'm looking at needing an increase of a factor of 10 in order for me to be able to hit the goals that I want and that I need to be able to get the partner program. And again, from an analytical standpoint, there's a number of things that are holding me back. The one that I have the least control over is demonetization. Half of my videos that I've been putting out for the past 2 weeks have been demonetized for anywhere from about 3 to 4 days. And again, when I'm not actually focusing on how much money I'm making right now, because technically if I don't hit my the partner goal, all that money disappears. I never get to see it as far as I am aware. I don't know if YouTube is actually weighed in on, well, what about the people that haven't gotten their first payout? Where does that money go? So as of right now, it actually doesn't matter to me how much money I'm making. So the demonetization aspect is not about the fact that I can't make money off those videos. It's demonetized videos don't get shown to people. While a video is demonetized, I have significantly lower views. I only will get about half the views I will normally get on a video that is demonetized. And the reason that is that YouTube doesn't push demonetized videos. They sometimes won't show up in subscriber feeds. They won't show up in recommended videos for the most part. They won't show up anywhere where I could get natural growth for the channel. Getting these videos demonetized significantly hurts my ability to grow. And I have absolutely I have very, very little control over what gets demonetized and what doesn't. Through trial and error, I have found certain ways to improve the chances that I'm not going to get demonetized. And I found that in general, my channel is getting demonetized for two subjects, for two basic things. One, if I say the words YouTube Partnership Program or YouTube Partners Program or anything like that, my video will get demonetized. I know this for a fact. If you guys have watched the last couple of videos when I'm doing my plug at the end, I won't actually say to keep my partnership status or to keep my partner status or I won't reference anything involving the words YouTube or partner if I can. I will completely avoid using the word partner, and I use the word YouTube very sparingly in my last few videos because the ones before that were getting demonetized only because the only thing I was talking about was the partnership status. So if this video itself is going to be demonetized. That means some of you guys are not going to be able to watch this because you're not going to know it exists unless you physically go over to my channel and look for it. Which is more work than I think you really should be required to do for me to be able to continue creating content. So that's one thing that gets it demonetized. The other thing that will get me an instant demonetization is if I talk about mental health, if I mention medication, if I mention talking to a therapist or my psychiatrist, or any mental illnesses, or I start saying the names of any of the medication I'm on, or if I use the word drugs, because the medication are drugs. That's what they are. They are prescribed by a professional, but they are drugs. So it is a completely legitimate way to describe these things that I use. If I say the word diazepam, all of those things will get the video demonetized, and significantly hurts my ability to get the video out, to get the views that I need, to get more subscribers and things like that. The demonetization does go away after a few days. I request a manual review of every single one of the videos that gets demonetized. I don't think I've ever, I think I've only had one manual review that's actually been reviewed by a real live person. The rest of the demonetized videos, the demonetization just magically disappears after a few days. But again, because it's old content, demonetizing it at the beginning of its run is massively detrimental. Because once it's once it gets monetized again, and once it's able to be shown to people, it's going to show up in their feed much lower. They're not going to see it. So the demonetization stuff affects the channel greatly, and it's the thing that I have the least amount of control over. YouTube arbitrarily decides what it's going to demonetize. And like I said, the fact that me talking about the partnership program, I have videos where I don't mention anything about mental health. I don't mention anything about that at all. I just talk about the partner program, and they will demonetize videos simply because I use those words. And that's the only difference between monetized videos and non-monetized videos. So I've kind of figured this out through process of elimination, where I would selectively choose words and see when videos were monetized or demonetized. Because the rest of the stuff, like, I could see maybe Dungeons and Dragons, being demonetized for, a billion different reasons, maybe because of graphic content or something like that, or if I swore in the video or something. No, like that stuff actually doesn't affect anything. It's whether or not I say YouTube partners, or whether I mention the new standards or anything like that. They apparently they think that is not advertiser friendly. So that's the thing I have the least amount of control over. The ball is mostly on YouTube's court, and the only thing I can do is technically avoid saying things that they don't like me to say, if I want my videos to be able to get out there. And the fact that I'm making these videos to stay a partner kind of means that my most effective way for staying a partner and requesting more subs and shares and things like that is also going to prevent me from being able to get the views that I need and the subscribers that I need in order to do this. So they're making this more difficult for me. The mental health stuff has been going on for months, if not years. Ever since they started demonetizing stuff, if you talk about mental health, they will demonetize your videos. They don't like you saying that. If you say the word drugs, they'll demonetize your video. If you say the word medication, they'll demonetize your video. They do not... they claim that anything to do with mental health is not advertiser friendly, which I vehemently disagree with. Thank you, phone. My phone agrees with me. And so do the Power Rangers, apparently. And I think it is their broken algorithm and all this stuff. But again, I can't control YouTube. I can't control what they choose to monetize or demonetize. So the only thing I can do is attempt to avoid subjects that are going to get me demonetized during the period that I'm trying to get growth. Once I hit the threshold where I get to keep my partnership status, I can go back into doing the things that I want. Because then again, I'm not fighting against the system, and I'm not risking losing the money that I've earned already that YouTube hasn't paid me. I'm not risking an even larger barrier to entry that I already have. So yeah. Some things that affect view times and stuff like that I have more control over. Custom thumbnails are something that, again, I mentioned before. Custom thumbnails get you more views. It's my intention to start doing custom thumbnails again. I actually have... I technically use Premiere Pro to create custom thumbnails. I used to do it all the time. But due to the mental health issues that I've been having, which again I'll explain in the second half of the video, I simply have not had the time or the mental capacity to be able to sit down and create custom thumbnails. Other best practices are, edited content and scripted content where I'm not rambling quite as much. Those generally tend to do better. And right now, scripted and edited content would technically be working against me and for me at the same time. Higher production quality generally means more people are willing to view it. However, editing and scripting and stuff like that makes the video significantly shorter. And because the analytics are focusing on just view time, not quality of the content or anything, just how many minutes and hours people are staring at the screen, it will actually... this light is killing me. It will actually hurt me to script and edit down my content because it'll be that many fewer minutes for me to have people watching my content. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And scripting and editing adds a significant amount of time to creating a video. Like right now, I do plan my videos. I do research and stuff like that, and stuff like that. So probably like the pre-filming work that I do probably takes half an hour to an hour of my day for a 45-minute to an hour long video. I'm putting at least double the amount of time in doing research and preparing for the video itself. If I go to scripting and editing, generally what I've seen thus far has been a factor of 3 to 5. So I spend somewhere between 3 to 5 times the length of the video in order to script it, edit it down, export it, all that stuff. So for an hour-long video, I'm looking at, roughly about 5 hours of pre and post production for that video. So including the filming and everything, we're looking at anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours, because filming, especially if I do lighting setups and other stuff like that that are good practices, all that stuff takes extra time. That basically turns me into working a full-time job to get a decent quality video out every single day, which is what I've been sticking to for the past 2 weeks. I've released one video almost every day. One video every day, every other day. That's in addition to I'm running 2 campaigns. I just started a brand new campaign on my Twitch channel that I upload here. And then I also have a campaign that I run for Zelda Universe on their Twitch channel every other Saturday. So I'm running 3 RPG campaigns, custom RPG campaigns, in addition to all the stuff I'm doing on this channel. And all that stuff takes a lot of time and energy. So again, scripting my content could technically help. Editing my content could technically help because it'll give out a higher quality product. The trade-off for the massive amount of time that adds for right now is not worth the few extra views and maybe the 1 or 2 extra subscribers I'm going to get for having some slightly more polished content. So more likely than not, while I'm trying to hit these program goals, the partner program goals, I'm not going to be reverting to scripted content. I'm not going to be reverting to edited content. I'm going to be focusing on just putting out good quality kind of stream of consciousness, just talking to a camera content like the stuff that I have been doing recently, because again, it's working. It's doing the exact things that I want it to do. I'm getting more views, I'm getting longer views, more people are engaging with the channel, more people are suggesting things that they want to see me do, and it seems like people are really enjoying the content. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I am going to make a concentrated effort to see if I can't start getting some custom thumbnails in, not only for content going forward, but I might work backwards a little bit to get some custom thumbnails in there. Because again, for getting new viewers and getting it shared and stuff like that, custom thumbnails make a massive difference. Now, me personally, I am not an incredibly I am not an incredibly talented visual artist. I never have been. The custom thumbnails that I have made are relatively basic. I don't have access to Photoshop, which is what most people will use for that, Photoshop or InDesign. Two really, really good, powerful programs that will let you do a lot more than Premiere Pro will let you do. Premiere Pro is an video editing software. And I use it as kind of a pseudo Photoshop because they have some of the elements of Photoshop built into it. But I don't have access to the tools or the skills necessary to make some of the really good looking stuff. So I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to try and make the thumbnails look as nice as physically possible. But again, all of that stuff takes time and effort. And as I will talk about in the second half of this video, it's rough right now. I am just barely getting by. Now that I'm not wearing my glasses and stuff like that, I think you guys can see the rather large bags under my eyes, because I'm not putting up my normal kind of energetic self and things like that. You guys are kind of getting a glimpse into what I look like when I'm not on camera. And even this is much better than I have been for a while. Once the camera goes off, it's bad. So, yes, going back to best practices and other analytical type stuff. I'm going to try starting to do more custom thumbnails and going back and putting some custom thumbnails on some of the stuff I've been doing just to see what kind of an effect that has, if that's going to help me hit the goals that I need. The other thing that I have been doing that I hadn't been doing in close to a year is using tags. Tags are another best practice. They help, by putting certain tags that actually fit with the video, you can, more people will see the content, more people will see it show up in their recommended videos and stuff like that. That is kind of essential to natural growth. And I had stopped using them for a while because I wasn't really seeing a whole lot of benefits. I am using them right now. I'm trying to tailor them a little bit more as far as making sure I'm using the right tags that will get me the most amount of views and get me to the widest audience. Yeah, so those are the best practices that most big YouTubers just say are essential for you to growing your platform is, using custom thumbnails, putting out quality content, and then using the tag system and things like that. The other thing that is essential for growing a YouTube channel is having an audience and interacting with that audience. And in that aspect, the past 2 weeks have been incredible. People are commenting on my videos. I'm having, good, meaningful conversations with people. People are suggesting videos that they want me to do, which is fantastic. I've been wanting that for years, and I've never really been able to get people to engage. So I really enjoy hearing your guys' ideas about stuff that you want me to do. I love making videos based on ideas that you guys have or based on requests that you guys have for me to talk about stuff. Almost all of it has been D&D related because that's what the majority of my audience has really been interested in, has been Dungeons and Dragons. And as long as that's what people are interested in, I am such a massive Dungeons and Dragons fan and RPGs in general fan that I have no problem making content about that over and over and over again. If you guys want more comprehensive D&D class guides, I can do that. If you guys want more like random min-maxing stories, I can do that. If you guys want more like history type stories about like the differences between the different editions, I can do that. If you guys want me to talk about different RPG systems, I can do that. All that stuff I really, really enjoy. And if that's the stuff that you guys want to see, let me know. Let me know what you want to see, and I'm going to make it. Because again, the whole point of YouTube, the reason that I wanted to become a YouTuber was after seeing the relationship that creators can create with their fans and these communities that they can build. I want to be able to do that. I want to have a community that people are excited to talk to each other about, and where people can feel like they can go to when they need a pickup or when they have questions, or or whenever they're bored and they just want to have fun with other people. I want that kind of a community, and I think YouTube has a unique place that can happen, with the fact that anyone can come watch and comment and things like that, unlike Twitch, where you're really not going to be able to interact with people unless the streamer is live, and there's other factors. There's a lot of great things about Twitch, and that's one of the other avenues that I'm looking into, as far as if this doesn't work, maybe switching over to Twitch full time. Yeah, so that's where I am from a purely analytical point of view. Again, if I'm going to meet my goal, I've got to increase subscriber gain and views by about tenfold. I have to do 10 times the number that I'm doing right now. And a lot of, if you look at it just from that angle, it sounds like an impossibility. It sounds like I'm just completely wasting my time, and that there's no point in me doing this. Because, again, a 10 times growth is insane. However, the thing with YouTube in general is as you get bigger, so does your growth. You grow exponentially on YouTube. That's how it works. So with me having, I have 260 subscribers as of recording this video. I have 260 subscribers. If I get up to 500 subscribers, I will gain more subscribers simply because I have more subscribers. As I get more views, they multiply. It's an exponential type thing. So technically, I don't have to average 171 hours a day right now, because I might only do the 16 or 17 hours a day, or move up to 20 or 30 hours a day right now. But then closer to the 20th, as I'm getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, I will be showing much higher numbers, simply because there's more people that can watch. I'm reaching a wider audience, things like that. So yes, it is theoretically possible that I can still hit this goal. As far as probability, how probable is it that I'm going to hit it? When I first saw the big jump, and I first surpassed 200 subscribers and then just kept growing, if I had sustained that growth, I think it could have been possible. My growth has stagnated a little bit. Again, I went from getting 20 to 30 subs today to 1 to 2 subs a day, and sometimes going whole days without getting a sub at all. That trend is typical. It's very, very common, but that points to it becoming more and more improbable that I'm going to be able to hit the goals that I want. It does not mean that I'm giving up. That does not mean that I'm not going to continue creating content. I'm not going to continue interacting with you guys or anything like that, all the way up to the 20th when they cut off my partnership. It just means that realistically right now, I'm not as hopeful that it's going to happen, which is why, again, I'm making changes. I'm also going to start changing how I advertise the video and how I market it. I'm going to start reaching out to some bigger YouTubers and other people that have large followings, and do my best to not be annoying, because I really hate the people that will, tweet at a big YouTuber and go, hey, can you retweet or can you get, can you help my channel grow and stuff like that? Because it seems kind of insulting, since they're in the exact same business. They're technically, as much as other YouTubers are kind of your coworkers, they're also your competition, because you can only watch one video at a time. So I'm not particularly fond of that form of getting subscribers and views and stuff like that. However, I have exhausted the other avenues I have. I tweet about all my stuff. I share it on the pages that I can. I'm simply not seeing the growth that I need going through there. So I'm going to start seeing if I can leverage some of the relationships that I have with some of the more popular people that I know, and some of the people with larger audiences that I know, to see if I can get the influx that I need of views. Again, I think I'm making quality content. I don't think it's as high quality as it theoretically could be, but I think it's as high a quality as I have the ability to put out right now. So yeah, that is the state of the channel, and I've been talking for 50 minutes about this. So now, if that's all you cared about, that's you don't have to watch the rest of this. That's my numbers stuff. That's my pledge going forward of what I'm going to try to do. Second half of this is going to be entirely about what's been happening to me mentally and physically over the past couple of weeks since my visit to the ER. First things first, I can't remember about a week and a half to 2 weeks before what I'm calling the incident, my visit to the ER. I have amnesia for that period of time. There are little bits and pieces that I know, and I've been able to piece together a couple of things that I did. Things like I recorded a podcast with a really awesome guy named Don Diego, and I listened to the podcast, and I listened to the words I was saying, and it was like I was listening to someone else. Like I don't remember saying most of the stuff I said on the podcast. I don't remember. Like I remember recording it in the idea that I remember that it happened, but I can't remember any specifics of that. And since the event, I am having severe issues with cognition and memory recall that I haven't had in a while. So if I repeat myself in this video, and I've said some of this stuff before, you'll have to forgive me. Again, I physically am incapable of remembering. And that's one of the reasons why I'm having such a hard time making contact, making scripted content and stuff like that, because I am so exhausted from dealing with anxiety and constant panic attacks and depression and a couple other things that I can't actually even mention on camera because they're still getting taken care of, and until they're finished, I can't really talk about it. So yeah, like I'm exhausted every day. I'm in constant pain. My muscles are still shot from what happened. For those of you that don't know, on Tuesday the 16th, I had to call an ambulance because I started convulsing dangerously. If you see this chair here, you see I've got these little like wings on it. I was shaking and convulsing so badly. I was slamming my head against these parts, and I pulled muscles in both sides of my neck. I pulled some muscles in my arm. I think I pulled a muscle or two in my legs, and I might have done something to my back. Completely involuntary. Like I thought I was having a seizure. According to all the doctors I've talked to and my therapist, I wasn't having a seizure because I was able to communicate barely with the paramedics and with the ER doctor, who was a nightmare. So it wasn't a seizure. However, no one can tell me what it actually was. The ER doctor decided that I was on drugs. I've seen the report. I've seen the report. My doctor has seen the report from my visit to the ER, which getting those records sent to my doctor was a nightmare. But we've both seen the reports. When I came in, they asked me, the paramedics asked me repeatedly what drugs I had taken. I told them I'd taken diazepam because that's what my psychiatrist had prescribed for me, and they kept asking me what other drugs I had taken. Had I taken alcohol? Had I drank alcohol? Had I, had I taken marijuana or other illegal substances? No, I hadn't. I don't do that. I actually don't enjoy the feeling of being high or drunk. Like it's not an enjoyable experience for me. The few times that it has happened, like after my surgery, they put me on painkillers. They got like I was on codeine, I was on oxy something, I don't know, really really powerful narcotics. And the first time I took it, I got high because that's what happens. It's one of the side effects. I was also completely pain free, which was incredible. But it makes me extremely uncomfortable to be high. I really don't like the feeling. So I don't do that. So I get to the ER. The paramedics have asked me over and over again on the like 10 to 15 minute trip to get me to the hospital because I live on the other side of the city that I live in. Than the hospital. I'm lucky enough that the city I live in does have a hospital, like a full blown hospital. But it took 10 to 15 minutes to get to the other side of the city in the ambulance to get me there. So in this 10 to 15 minute ride, they're asking me repeatedly, "What drugs did you take? What drugs did you take?" And I keep telling them, "No, I didn't." I get to the ER. They my heart rate recorded in the ambulance was over 200 beats per minute, which is deadly. The paramedics decided that wasn't possible. Not because it isn't possible, because it is possible to have a heart rate that high. They just decided that they were going to ignore their instruments. They tried taking my pulse on my wrist, and they couldn't find it because it was beating so rapidly. They tried taking it on my carotid, which is here, and they didn't tell me they were going to do that. And so just randomly, I get a gloved hand that starts closing around my neck, which was not helping me at that point. And in an attempt to find my carotid, because I have a thick neck and I'm a heavy set person, in an attempt to find my carotid, they actually ended up cutting off my windpipe for a couple of seconds because they were pressing so hard trying to find my carotid and they couldn't get a pulse for me that was accurate, other than the one that they were getting from their instruments, which was telling them I was basically in tachycardia. I was having a heart attack. And so they decided that wasn't real and just dismissed it. By the time I got to the emergency room, the paramedics talked to the nurse there, and then the doctor came in, and she kept telling me, asking me, "What drugs are you on? What drugs did you take?" She had already decided I was on drugs and I was having a bad trip. Again, after looking at the paperwork and everything and talking to my doctor, we both agree she decided that I was on drugs, and all the tests that she performed were simply to prove that I was on drugs. They didn't do an EKG, which is relatively standard if you come in with a massive heart rate like the way that I did. Even once they got me on in the ER bed and actually had everything connected up, and I had calmed down a little bit and the spasms had become lesser and not as life-threatening, and I was able to control because while I was spasming, I couldn't control where I was looking because my head was going everywhere. So probably like, I don't know, half an hour to an hour after I'd been there and the convulsions were going down, I was able to look at, the little monitor thing that tells you, all your stats and that. And my heart rate was still at around 150 to 160 beats per minute, an hour after the incident, and I had already calmed down. So, in my mind, and my doctor doesn't refute this, it's very possible I had a heart rate of over 200 beats per minute. I was also sweating so heavily that nothing would stick to my skin. They couldn't put heart monitoring stuff on there. They couldn't. They had to give me IV fluids because I was sweating so much that I was like deadly dehydrated. Like if they didn't put IV fluids in me, I was going to die sweating so much. But because I was sweating so much, I was just buckets and buckets and buckets of sweat, which kind of points to the idea that my heart was working extra hard, because that would cause you to sweat ungodly amounts if my heart really was beating that fast. So it does lend credence to the idea that I'm not crazy and that's really what happened. They couldn't actually, once they got the IV in, they couldn't stick and tape it down like they have to. So they had to basically elastic wrap it to me because nothing would stick to my skin, because I was just sweating so profusely. And so yeah, anyway, they did a full blood workup, looked for literally every single drug physically possible. Those tests came back negative, so they had to do they had me do a urine test. For those of you who don't know, urine can actually tell you a remarkable amount of information about someone, but it's generally in three categories. They can tell you how well your kidneys are working, because your kidneys are directly related to, like, that's how urine is filtered out of your food and everything. Like, it's all based on your kidneys. So they can tell if your kidneys are working. They can see some infections and things like that will show up in your urine. So sometimes for certain diseases and illnesses, urinalysis can show something is wrong with you. But the most information you can get for urinalysis is what drugs you are on. That's why most jobs will have you do a urine test before you start, because it's a really accurate way to find out what drugs you're on, and it can sometimes be more accurate than blood tests, because you can metabolize through. There's certain drugs that you can metabolize through relatively quickly, but they'll still show up in your urine. When my doctor looked at the lab reports and everything, they did the urinalysis to test me for drugs, because they didn't believe that the blood tests were correct. When the urinalysis came back that I wasn't on anything, the doctor was genuinely shocked. She couldn't explain what happened, so she called it a panic attack, which it wasn't, because panic attacks, for those of you that don't know, are not dangerous. They're debilitating, they're terrifying, and they can make your life very, very difficult to live. Because you go into fight or flight mode, you get adrenaline running through your body. Like, they are not an enjoyable experience. But no one has ever died from a panic attack. It doesn't happen. The worst thing that can happen when you're having a panic attack is you can hyperventilate, which is not uncommon. And what happens is eventually hyperventilation causes oxygenation, too much oxygen in your bloodstream. And it'll give you a head rush, and eventually you will faint. Once you are unconscious, your body will self-regulate, and you will stop hyperventilating, you will stop having your panic attack, and you will go back into a more calm state. So the worst thing that can possibly happen due to a panic attack is you can faint and accidentally hurt yourself because you went unconscious and fell on something. Like, that is the most dangerous thing that can happen during a panic attack. So if you are sitting down or lying down when you have a panic attack, you are as safe as physically possible. What happened to me was not safe. Like I said, I was so dehydrated that I could have died from dehydration. I was perspiring so much, I was losing so much water that it was dangerous for my health. They had to put me on IV fluids in order to keep me from getting dangerously dehydrated. That doesn't happen for a panic attack. I was convulsing so badly that if I had been near anything hard, like if these things weren't padded, I could have damaged my brain. I pulled muscles and things like that. Like, I actually caused damage to my muscular system because of these convulsions. That doesn't happen for a panic attack. That is dangerous. If it had continued going on, I could have ripped and torn some of these muscles, which ripped muscles and things like that take a very, very long time to heal. They're incredibly debilitating. If I had done something like I'd ripped a tendon or something like that, those don't heal. You can get them stapled back together, and that's really it. So I could have done permanent damage to myself. That's not a panic attack. So talking with my doctor, he actually, I just talked to him yesterday, I think it was. He actually had me do an EKG. to check to see if there was anything wrong with my heart, like if I had had an arrhythmia, which is just, it means that your heart doesn't beat the way it's supposed to. Check to see if I had any sort of tachycardia or anything like that, anything wrong with my heart, because I have a history of heart disease in my family. According to the EKG that I took on Wednesday, which again was 2 weeks after the incident, my heart is healthy. So it doesn't look like I have any form of heart disease or anything like that. And it also means my doctor can't explain what happened. We have a theory that the decreased dosage of the diazepam, one of the symptoms of diazepam withdrawal or Valium withdrawal, is seizures and strokes. I already have a psychogenic tremor that's been diagnosed as exacerbated by stress and is completely autonomic. Like this is, I have absolutely no control over this. He thinks that the combination of I had a panic attack and then I also was going through withdrawal symptoms and then I also have this tremor and all of these things mixed into this very, very deadly cocktail of whatever this event was. That is the running theory we have. He still can't explain how that could have happened. He can just go, well, it's theoretically possible that you know, this exacerbated this and this exacerbated this, but we don't really have a medical explanation as to what went wrong. Nor can we tell you that it's not going to happen again. Nor can we tell you that if it does happen again, you'll be able to live through it. Like, they can't really tell me anything other than, well, it happened. You received relatively poor care at the hospital that you went to, and now we just have to kind of move forward. Since the incident, again, I have memory loss. I have amnesia, which can be caused by shock, but can also be caused by brain damage. If you guys have been watching my videos closely, you'll notice that I'm having issues saying certain words, and I will change words and phrasing in my mind unconsciously and have really hard time speaking. Example of this was when I did my Loot Crate box and I kept saying Harry Potty. I couldn't say the word Harry Potter at that point. I had this mental block. And when I'm not on camera, it's even worse. I have very difficult time speaking. Like this takes a lot out of me, speaking to a camera for an hour. And this is the most coherent I will be all day. I will be mostly mute for the rest of the day after recording one of these videos, simply because I can't handle it. This takes such a massive amount of focus and energy in order to get these words out. And even then, I have a hard time speaking, which is indicative of some sort of issue with my brain, which could indicate brain damage, or it could indicate a bunch of different things. But I definitely have cognitive impairment that I didn't have before this incident. And I have been slowly getting worse mentally for a year now, or close to a year now. So yeah, I am not doing well health-wise, and it's exacerbated by the fact that I can't get straight answers from my doctors because they don't know. My doctor and I have discussed if I continue to have issues with degradation of my mental state, with amnesia and things like that, to send me back to a neurologist. I've seen a neurologist before for my tremor. He's the one that diagnosed it as psychogenic. He's a really cool guy. He's a really great doctor. Yeah, if I continue to have issues with cognitive impairment and things like that, I'll go back to the neurologist and see if they can tell me anything more. But as of right now, none of my doctors know anything. Nothing that is happening to me can be explained. with their current understanding of medical science. It doesn't make sense, and that's the worst part about this. Because I don't know what's going on, I can't prepare. I can't take preemptive steps to make sure that what happened a couple of weeks ago isn't going to happen again. The other fun thing is the medication that I'm on, diazepam, has been shown. They have studies going back to the 80s that shows that short-term use of it can be beneficial for. It can be used to treat seizures. It can be used to treat anxiety, sometimes depression, but not often. But it's generally used as anti-anxiety and anti-seizures and tremors and stuff like that. In short term, generally 6 to 8 weeks is how long you're generally on it. Long-term effects, it has been shown to cause brain damage. It causes the brain to shrink. It causes an increase in, I can't remember what it's called, but the divide between your left and right hemispheres, there's a fissure there. It causes that fissure to go wider, which makes it more difficult for your left and right hemispheres to communicate with each other. So the drug I'm on is proven to cause brain damage. However, in order for me to go off of the drug, I have to deal with the withdrawal symptoms, which the withdrawal symptoms for benzodiazepines, which is the class of drug that is, can be deadly. They're very, very dangerous. They can cause seizures. They can cause strokes. And they have the other more generalized withdrawal symptoms that you'll go through anytime you're going through withdrawal, which are things like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, tremors, things like that. All of those things can happen due to withdrawal. So I have a drug that continuing to take it is going to cause brain damage. Going off it too quickly is going to cause brain damage. Going off it too slowly can still cause brain damage, and the withdrawal symptoms can last anywhere from a few weeks to years. So even after I am off the medication, I may be dealing with these symptoms for years. This is not a good situation for me. I am terrified all the time, and anytime my tremor gets a little bit worse, I'm afraid that I'm going to go into a full-blown event like the one I had before, and I'm going to have to go back to the emergency room. Where I got such great care last time. So, yes, I'm 100% not okay. I am remarkably sick, and I don't have the ability to do what is really necessary for me to keep this channel going. So I'm doing what I can, which is making videos like this. And there are going to be some days where I don't post any videos because I physically do not have the strength to do it. I don't have the mental ability to focus on something like that. And that's going to hurt my chances of hitting these goals and things like that, but there's nothing I can do about that. So, yeah, that's my life right now. I'm very, very sick. My doctors don't know what's going on. The drugs that I never wanted to be on are causing permanent damage to my ability to think and my ability to interact with the world. And they're also increasing the mental disorders that I already have to dangerous levels. So, yeah, my life kind of really sucks right now. But moving forward, I'm speaking with professionals. I'm doing everything that my doctors are telling me to do. I'm going to therapy. I'm doing everything I can to survive this. It's just I am not okay. So yeah. So for any of you guys that made it this far into the video, thank you so much. Again, I do appreciate you guys watching it. Again, I need subscribers. If you guys have friends that are YouTubers that are willing to plug me, if you guys have relationships in any way, shape, or form with people that have large Twitter followings or anything like that, if you can share any of my videos, whatever video you think is my best video, your favorite thing that I have made recently, share it with them. Say, hey, this guy is trying really, really hard to stay a partner, to stay creating on YouTube. Could you please give him a hand by just retweeting this to your followers or plugging him in a video or something like that? I would sincerely appreciate it. Again, I generally try to avoid doing stuff like that. I would prefer to grow my audience simply by having really great content that people want to see, not by, you know, asking people that are more famous than I am to give me a boost. But I don't really have any other options. So, yeah. Thank you so much to everyone that has been watching my content and commenting and giving me suggestions and feedback and all that stuff. I sincerely appreciate it. I really, really do. I'm hoping that the first half of this video kind of shows you that I do have an understanding of what I need to do in order to become like a full-time YouTuber, which is probably the only job I'm going to be able to hold for years, if I can even do that, because of all my other mental disorders. So, yeah, I do understand how the system works, and everything that I'm doing has a purpose and it has a goal. It's just, again, I'm very, 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 very sick, and in a very, very bad place right now. And so I'm doing the little bit that I can to try and fight this as much as I can. This change in the partner program could not have come at a worse time for me. If it had come 6 months ago, my outlook would be completely different. Or if it came in 6 months and I was actually doing better. Like, the fact that I went to the emergency room and came home to an email telling me that I was losing my partnership status was probably the worst thing I could have come home to. After spending, 4 hours in the emergency room being talked down to by a doctor because she just randomly decided I was a druggie, without anything to back that up. And then when she couldn't find any proof of it, she just went, "Oh, panic attack, that's where it was." She didn't talk like that, by the way. I just thought it was funny. The other thing she did, which was really, really fun, was she, as I'm sitting there convulsing and doing everything I can to keep from just freaking out, she goes, "Jody, you need to stop shaking." And what I said in my head was, "No shit, Sherlock." At this point, I couldn't say more than one word at a time. So I was able to get out the words, "I'm trying," and "I can't," because I couldn't control my body at that point. And her response was, "Well, you're not trying hard enough. You need to try harder. You need to stop shaking." Which every single person I have told to, from my therapist to my psychiatrist to my primary care physician, have all said, she didn't say that. Yeah, she said that almost verbatim. Of the few things I can remember of that day, that I remember vividly. Of her sitting there saying, "Well, you're not trying hard enough." I mean, that's kind of like somebody breaking their leg and the doctor going, "Hey, listen, I need you to walk over here." "I can't. My leg is broken." "Yes, you can. You're not trying hard enough." "No, my leg is broken." That's how it works. So yeah, she was horrible. The nurses were fantastic. If any of you guys don't, be as kind to nurses as you possibly can. Their job is so hard, and they get so much crap all the time, and they work so hard. So be kind to your nurses; they're wonderful people. Anyway, I've talked for almost an hour and a half now. I know you guys are getting sick of me, and I'm about to pass out. So I'm gonna let you guys go. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. Like I said, like, comment, all that stuff makes the videos easier to go out. This one is going to get demonetized for a few days. I will guarantee it. So this video is not going to get the natural views that it normally will get. So please share this video around to people that you think are interested in how my channel is doing, how I'm doing personally and physically, because they're not going to see it otherwise, for a couple of days at least. So anyway, that's all for me. I will see you guys next time. All right. Bye-bye.